All right, in this video, we're going to go through how to use paste from Excel in your inventory center. Okay, so first we're going to go into our inventory center here, and we are going to go into paste from Excel. We're going to cover three topics here. We're going to cover inventory parts, inventory assemblies, and inventory sites. Okay, so inventory parts, I'm going to start there. And so first of all, when you come in here, of course, we have our customized columns. Make sure and check out the other videos on Paste from Excel. Each of these videos have their little tidbits that are really effective, right? That can be used in the different areas. So some of the tidbits in customer can be used in inventory. But anyway. Okay, so in here, customized columns, I'm going to go ahead and add all columns that are available, because I want to go run through them with you to make sure that we all understand what's available. Okay. Coming down after I customized all my columns, I added those there. I do have my inventory parts list. That's what we're looking at. Again, here, we're also going to talk about inventory sites and assemblies. Here I can look at only my active inventory items. All inventory items would be active and inactive. And then we can filter them down, unsaved inventory, etc. We can look at all inventory that is just in one particular site. And then also we have a find here. The find will search through most fields in QuickBooks. So, test it out is what I always say, because obviously there are a lot of fields available to search through, but it will search through custom fields as an example. Okay, coming down below here. So I'm just going to start on the top. What's nice about putting data in this format is that this is a way for us to edit our data in a quick way, right? So if we again, decided we needed to add a custom field, or we weren't using preferred vendors before and we now want to use preferred vendors, right? There are ways that we can, en masse, get information in using this paste from Excel format. So first of all, let's pay attention to what fields are available. So right now I'm looking at the item name. A good rule of thumb is that if you don't know what field this is, edit an item, edit an item itself, and look at the field name, right? So there's item name, surface, okay? So tabbing, I can use tab in here. It's a sub item of, so again, if we have it as a sub item, you can create a sub item of here. We can fill in the cost. If we didn't have costs filled in beforehand, we can go in and fill those in. And again, what's nice about it, so 25, this is now going to be 550. This is now going to be 0.74, right? So I can just go down the list like that. Again, the sales price field, which cost of goods sold account we use, what barcode number we're going to use for this customer, the preferred vendor. If I have a drop down there, it's going to show me my drop down list that is available. Notice I can add new from this screen as well. The sales income account, asset account, global reorder point, the site minimum and maximum, okay? The total value, and notice that there are some fields in here that I can't edit, right? So again, I can click on tax, I have a drop down, I can click on manufacturer's part number. If it's grayed out, it's not going to allow me to edit that. The total value field, obviously it's not going to let me edit, because what does it take to get value into QuickBooks? You have to do an inventory adjustment, so that's not what this is for. If we had, it's kind of like putting in your open balance. So if I were adding a new line down here, so, test item, and I can go across here, it tells me any required fields, which is awesome. But again, I can't put that global value in here, because what does it take to put a global value, or to put a value in? It takes a transaction. We have to be putting a quantity and a value in, which requires a transaction. Okay, going across. Manufacturer's part number again, lot number. So this is the preference for lot numbers. Do you want to warn me or not warn me? Really cool feature here. If you set up all your items on accident, that they all are set to warn me. I mean, right now it says it's set to default, right? So I can go into my preferences and edit the default for that, so that it's not, the default is not warn me. But let's say I accidentally put all of these as warn me in here, and I really want it to not warn me about lot numbers. So I can come in on the top line, put don't warn me, and then copy down. so that it fills everything in as don't warn me, and then only on the couple that I do use lot numbers on, right, my couple items, I can say go ahead and warn me on those. So again, that's just right click, copy down. Now notice when I copy down, so if I come down here, let's come down to the warn me area. When I say warn me here and I copy this down, it's going to copy from that point all the way down the list to the bottom. So you just want to be aware, copy down is not like copy a couple cells, or it's not, you know, shift and you select several cells to copy down. It's not, it doesn't work that way. If you do need it to work that way, I can show you some, you know, some other ways that we can do it by exporting to Excel and then just pasting it in here, which is helpful. Okay. So if lot number is blank, if lot number is not in inventory, okay, so again, what do you want you to do? So if the lot number is not available, do you want it to warn you? Yes, no. The full item name in here. What that is again, if you have sub items, right? So in this area of QuickBooks, this is one of the few areas where the item name and the item itself, the header item are in separate cells potentially. So you can paste them into separate cells, or the way that QuickBooks functions in, you know, most other areas of QuickBooks, which is the header : sub item. So you can paste it in that way as well. Purchase and sales description, as of date, the as of date, if we don't know what this is, again, go and edit the item, and we want to see what the as of date is, or create a new item in this case, right? So the as of date would be a date down here where you're saying how many you have on hand as of this date. Right now you're not seeing it because of the way that I have inventories in and sites turned on. So again, it requires me to do a transaction to get that as of date in there. If it's inactive item, so again, really cool, we can go in and say these items are going to be inactive. It gives me a warning, right? Hey, this item has quantities on hand, you should not make it inactive. But you can check mark off, make it inactive, and then you can go through and, you know, press the down arrow and hit spacebar. So spacebar is check in QuickBooks. So you can go ahead and check a lot of those off. Obviously, pay attention to the warnings. I know I'm clicking them off real quick, but this is saying, hey, this item is part of this group. Are you sure you want to make it inactive? Probably not, because it's already part of that group, and I do use that group. Okay, average cost, again, not something we can edit. That's something that's system generated, but it's in here. This is, just so you know, because in these sample files, this is actually our custom field. So if I go edit this field or edit this item, and I look at my custom fields, see shelf, warehouse, etc. But I'll show you how you can mass add warehouses and bins in just a second. So shelf, warehouse, lead time, those are all custom fields that we've set up in here. Again, why it's really great. So let's say we were going to decide to put lead time in here because we want to create some kind of custom report for ordering based on lead time, right? So first step in being able to get to that report is that we have to put the data into QuickBooks. So what is the lead time for this item? So once we have the custom field set up, using this paste from Excel is really nice, because again, we could export this to Excel, paste in, you know, fill in the values, and then copy the Excel document and paste it in here. Or I can just start to, right, 1 month, and then push the down arrow, 1 week, push the down arrow, 2 months, enter, push the down arrow, 1 month, enter, push the down arrow. So I could fill it in kind of quickly there. Okay. The each price can go here. Color, size, again, and cubes. So those are some other fields that we have available, custom fields that we have available. The site reorder minimum, okay. The default bin that you purchase from, default bin you sell from, and then units of measure, as well as the markup and margin. So this is somewhere where we can mass get those markup and margins in here as well. So it's a really good thing to know. All right, so why would we use this? So again, I talked about the copy, the paste down. So if we needed to, we could fill those in. If we didn't know, you know, which one of these, which item do we need to fill in a preferred vendor for? You can sort by that column, and then that way oh, I just have 15 in here that I need to go in and figure out. And it's just much faster, right? So this is Foster's Lighting, and then this is for, automobile loan insurance company. And so it's just much faster to fill it in this way than by having to go into your list, double click on this, go down to the vendor, choose a vendor, and then hit OK. Next, go down here, choose a vendor. OK, so it's just much faster. Okay. We can use this again as a way to paste new items in. I don't find it as being the most effective way, but people have used it in the past for that. So essentially I just come down here to the bottom. If I had a list of items that I wanted to paste in the file, I just right click and say paste. Well, obviously I'd have to copy it from Excel first. Right click and say paste, and it will put those in there. It doesn't paste the entire all rows, so you have to paste row by row. So first paste the item name, then paste the cost, then the sales price, then the income account. Okay, so just be aware of that. All right. So again, one of the ways that is effective for using this is to get the data into Excel itself first. So I have some sample data in here. Okay, so it tells me on this one, I set up this test, but I didn't have a required field filled in. Right, the income account is required, so it says I cannot add this item. But I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't want to save it. So one of the ways, again, that you can use this, so I'm going to go ahead and export my items list to Excel. Make sure to pay attention if you're exporting inactive items. This includes inventory and assemblies, right? So probably I just want to do inventory parts at one time, because again, when I paste from Excel, you look at inventory parts separate from inventory assemblies, right? If I were to leave this on all active inventory and assembly parts and I were to export it to Excel, it's going to include the inventory parts and the assembly parts, which could, again, right, when I'm trying to copy and paste, it could give me a problem. So if I were to come in here, and I say again because hopefully you've watched some of the other videos. That's where the again part comes in. So I come in here, I have all my different items right in here, and let's say that I was going to copy down, I don't know, let's pick something in here. I was going to copy down my preferred vendor, okay? Or I didn't have my preferred vendor filled in. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to leave everything in the item in the order that it's in, okay? Now notice here, I have to be very careful. So this includes the service items. When I paste from Excel, it does not start with labor, right? So when I come in here and I say paste from Excel, the first line item with inventory parts is surface, not labor. So I want to be aware of that. I want to take these and delete them. And then I come down to the bottom and I see some assemblies and non-inventory parts. None of those are on my paste from Excel for inventory, so I want to get rid of them, right? Okay. And then if I do any sorting in here, I need to make sure that I do the exact same sorting in my QuickBooks file as well. So if I go in and say, I want to sort by item, okay, and again, Excel could sort different than QuickBooks. You need to really pay attention. So if I want to say I sort by item and I come in here and sort by item name, right, notice again, it puts it in a different order. It puts it in 130102 is the first one, and then 2's down here. Okay, so you have to really be aware when you're dealing with it in Excel. So let me go back in and hit undo. Now it's just in the regular order. So do some spot checking too. So now when I start on here, I say surface treadmills 2, and then maybe go down, to the bottom and make sure that they tie out, whatever the last the last item down here on the bottom is. Okay, so what I can do is I can use this to fill in as well. So let's say that this was all going to be, that doesn't make sense. Let's say this is all going to be Paulson's here, and then down here we're going to move this whole lighting goes down. right? So I'm going to use this to fill all the details in, because sometimes, again, right, in Excel, it's a little bit faster. You can do some things a little bit faster. Plus in Excel, you can do things with formulas. So make sure to check out some of our videos on formulas with Excel to get data in a good format. But then what I can do is I can take this, the entire list, copy it. I can come into QuickBooks here to my preferred vendor, right click and paste, and it fills those in for me. And again, I still want to go down to the bottom and confirm that my last line filled into my last line. It was MSR 1200. I scroll down here, I see MSR 1200, right? Because if these get out of sort order or whatever it is, you're going to be pasting the wrong data to the wrong item. So you just really need to have awareness around that. Okay. All right, so those are inventory parts. So now I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. I'm not going to save it for now. But I'm going to move on now to inventory assemblies. Okay, so inventory assemblies, again, this is not a way to get assemblies in the system. This is not a good way to do it. There are very few good ways to get inventory assemblies in the system, so make sure to check out our videos on that. So anyway, assemblies, inventory assemblies in here, we can use it to edit some things on assembly. So if we have a lot of assemblies, an example, and we needed to edit the custom field again, let's go back to lead time, right? So I move lead time over here. I'm going to go ahead and move it up so that it's higher up on my list, closer to my item name. Move up. Okay, so now lead time is right here next to my item name, and I can start filling in lead time. So it's a faster way for us to kind of clean up this list, right? But there are a lot of fields when it comes to assemblies that I can't edit. So on this one, as an example, I can edit the cost. On the next line down, I can edit the cost there, right? 45, I can edit the cost there. So assembly items there. If it's a sub item of, I can edit that. Moving across, the barcodes, the preferred vendor, I can fill those in there. You have to be aware as well. So when we're dealing with, let's just look at our assemblies here, right? So I may edit and put in a preferred vendor, but I actually, on this item, I don't have the preferred vendor field enabled. So I might put the data in there, but it's not showing up for me yet, and that's because I don't have this checked off yet. So you have to be aware of some of those things. The income account, asset account, global point, right? Total values, obviously, again, I can't edit those there. The bill of materials, if you want a user-defined cost or the total BOM cost to show up there. So again, some different columns that we can add, inactive, descriptions, etc. Okay. All right. So assemblies aren't that much different than when it comes to actual inventory parts, except for that I can't come in here and add a new assembly item through this screen. All right. Then the last thing that we want to talk about are sites. Okay, so sites. There are some fields, right, when I go into my inventory site list and I create a new site, right? Here are the fields that we're going to have available as columns to add. So a good way to know what columns you can add, you can look at the item. And most of the time, about 95%, right, of those fields are available in this add edit. Where this is really nice is that if I had a whole bunch of bins that I needed to put in the system, but I didn't have them set up yet, right, then this would be a great way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and customize my columns. I don't care about the contact right now, the phone, email, etc. So I'm going to get rid of all those. Now that just leaves me with the site name and then the location within the site. So what does this mean? This is the site, right, Austin, and then this is a bin within that site. Okay, so by putting something in this field and then associating it with a header site over here, that allows QuickBooks to know that it's a bin. Okay, now notice again, when you say currently editing, see it puts Austin : bin B in here as well. So again, if I were to come into Excel, and I'm just going to add a different sheet here. So let's say that we had a whole bunch of bins that we wanted to add, bin C, bin D, and I'm just going to copy this down. It didn't it didn't do the way I wanted. Bin E, or let's do bin 3 and bin 4 so that it copies down appropriately. Okay, now let's say I want to add these into QuickBooks. So I'm going to copy these bins. I'm going to paste them in the item name here. Then I'm going to come over to this field and I'm going to select Austin, right? Because I'm adding them all to Austin. And then I'm going to right click on Austin and say copy down. Okay, what does that do? I say save. It says inventory sites have been saved. Now when I go look at my list and my inventory site list, all those additional bins are in here as well. Okay, so a quick way to get those bins in there. Again, in some of the other ways of importing into QuickBooks, bins aren't always available. So this is a quick way to get those bins in. And it's not like an IEF file you can import type of thing. So that's a quick way to get those bins in there. All right. Now you can go paste from Excel around inventory. We will have one more video on service and non-inventory items. But let's see what you can do with paste from Excel.